WSYX on Your Side presents Healthy Minds, Building Mental Wellness in the Classroom. Brought to you in partnership with Ohio Education Association and Optum Behavioral Care.
Right now, our schools are seeing a rise in the number of students dealing with mental health challenges, from anxiety and depression to the lasting impacts of trauma, abuse, and neglect. So tonight, we're exploring how our local schools are responding through new programs, new partnerships, policies, and more to put students' well-being and their mental health at the center of learning. Joining us for this conversation today are superintendents from 3 school districts here in Franklin County. We have Dr. Angela Chapman from Columbus City Schools, Dr. John Marschhausen from Dublin City Schools, and Mr. David Stewart with us as well from Hilliard City Schools. First and foremost, thank you for being part of this conversation. We really do appreciate it. And I think we'll start big picture, and this question will be for all of you. When it comes to what's happening in your school districts right now, what systemic challenges are you seeing when it comes to addressing student mental health in the classroom? Maybe it's something like staffing, maybe it's funding, or maybe it's just the stigma around having the conversation at all. What are you seeing and how are you addressing that? And Dr. Chapman, we'll start with you.
Yes, I would certainly like to name that post-pandemic, we are seeing an increase in the number of mental health challenges that our students have been dealing with and that they're showing up in school with every day. And so we have more students coming to school with anxiety and depression, more students coming to school with health challenges that we have to work with them to address. Maybe it's diabetes, maybe it's chronic asthma. And so as a system, we have to think very strategically and intentionally about how we ramp up our resources and supports to address those mental health challenges that our students are experiencing. We also know that social media has played a significant role in causing a lot of the anxiety and social behaviors that we're seeing with our students. And so we have to be thinking about how we address those challenges, since more of our students and there are more frequency of incidents that involve students, and we are trying to address those mental health challenges. So it's the volume, it's an increase and more patterns that we're noticing post-pandemic.
So that is the challenge, just the amount that it's occurring.
Yes, absolutely.
Is it similar in Dublin?
Yeah, and I think it goes to resources that are available for both families and schools. Nationwide Children's is an amazing partner to all of us and to the region. There's a 6 to 8 month wait list if a parent wants to get a child in for mental health counseling. So the resources aren't there for us to tap into or for mom and dad to tap into. So we have children and families who are both reaching out for support. And if we can't provide that bridge and that support, there are times it's not there from the healthcare professionals and the hospital networks in our region. So this isn't just a school challenge. This is really a systemic challenge in the healthcare network in terms of not having enough mental health professionals across the board for us to be able to build those bridges and those partnerships for children and families.
Mr. Stewart?
Yeah, I was really hoping to go first on this one because I was afraid we were all going to have the same answer, but it really is. It's the volume and the severity of the challenges that our students are coming to us with every single day. And at best, the number of resources in the community is leveled, but in many cases it's decreasing. And so filling that gap, and we're all scrambling to create the same partnerships with those resources that are in the community. So we all end up kind of competing with each other when we're all just trying to help kids and families.
Counselors obviously are a critical part of addressing this situation, but your teachers in the classroom really are on the front lines when it comes to helping students with their mental health. What type of training do they receive through your districts? Is there continual professional development? Is that something that's coached throughout the year or on a continuing basis on multiple years?
I don't think you can ever have enough professional development. One thing I think it's important to remind us is that schools are not and never will be a clinical setting. So we don't diagnose, we don't treat. nor should we. So the focus of our training primarily is around making sure teachers recognize the signs of students who are having different types of struggles, and that we develop a reflex that they immediately connect that student with somebody that can provide that assistance, whether that's a school counselor or a parent or whatever the case may be.
Our teachers do so much. We don't want them to be counselors, but as Mr. Stewart said, we want them to recognize when students are in crisis. They're the ones who see students every day, and for our teachers to notice a change in behavior, to notice a change in activity, and to be able to get that student to the appropriate counselor, that's what we train and what we expect our teachers to do, because we've put so much more on teachers' plates over the last couple decades, and we ask them to do so much more. We're not asking them to be counselors. We're asking them to be that professional who recognizes that something may be different, and then get them to the trained professional who can help with those mental health issues.
When it comes to those strategies being utilized in classrooms in your schools each and every day, I'd like to talk specifically about some different programs and services that are unique to your individual districts, or at least are happening in your individual districts. And Dr. Marschhausen, I'll start with you. Your district's partnership with Ohio State means that every school has at least one mental health specialist 5 days a week, correct?
Yeah, we did a teacher to social worker program coming out of the pandemic where we trained 25 mid-career educators to be social workers. They were a cohort that worked through Ohio State, but on our school campuses. And now we have an additional social worker 5 days a week in every building. And what that mental health professional does, it allows us to try to get ahead a little bit.
Have you started to see an impact from that yet at all?
Yeah, it's kind of year two, because last year those social workers were interns. So they were in the buildings working under a licensed social worker. And this year they're soloing. And we're seeing the biggest result is a little bit more calm with our teachers. Our teachers having another resource, and then parents having that other resource. And now we have counselors in meetings when we're having behavior specialists there and counselors there.
We have already brought up Nationwide Children's Hospital as part of this conversation, but Dr. Chapman, for Columbus City Schools, I know your district is partnering with Nationwide Children's Hospital to embed behavioral health services in schools. So when it comes to addressing the challenges with this, how is that driving the focus to address mental health in the classroom?
I would say that it's meeting our families and our students where they are, and we're able to provide those interventions that our students need right in the school building. And so our parents and families, is removing that burden on the families to have to schedule an appointment, call off work, pick up their child, excuse the child from school to take them to another location to receive the intervention that they need at a time when they're most vulnerable. And so we've been able to remove those barriers and provide those supports and resources to our family within the school. And so that has increased students' access to services, as well as access to having the supports that they need within the school day.
Mr. Stewart, in Hilliard City Schools, you guys have taken the approach that there are some excused absences now for mental health days. With that in place, how do you follow up or ensure that those students are actually getting help on those days and it's just frankly not a day off?
I think your question is the key part of that. The change that you mentioned really is very slight. It was just a matter of treating mental health as a sickness. So much the way if a parent called in and said, my student has a stomach ache today, we consider that a sick day. If a parent calls in and says, my child needs a mental health day today, we consider that a sick day. The important part of that, as you said, is the follow-up. So usually on the first time that happens, but definitely on the second, a counselor from the school reaches out to the family to make sure that they're getting the help that they need and to link them with any resources they might benefit from that we can connect them with.
Has that been something that's been embraced by families? Are you seeing families take advantage of it?
Yeah, and I think anytime you hear about a change like that, people immediately go to, well, that's going to be abused, and that's not the case. Parents want their children to be well, and they want their children to be healthy, and when they're not, they want to find a way to get them healthy. And when we can start that conversation because they made that phone call to us, then we're able to provide some help.
Communicating with families obviously is a crucial part of this process, and this is a question for all three of you. When you look at family engagement, how do you work with families to really ensure that what's being brought up or maybe discovered in a classroom setting is then followed up with directly at home, where that continued messaging, that continued support needs to happen as well?
I think you have to move beyond email and electronic communication. There are times that phone calls and face-to-face conversations are critical. And I think when we're talking about children's mental health, you have to be able to have the tone, you have to be able to have the conversation. So as much as possible, these are real conversations taking place either on the phone or in person, so that mom and dad and the counselor, the teacher, whoever the connections are with us, are all having that interpersonal communication, because we're dealing with kids, we're dealing with human beings, and with all of the electronic and social media and everything we have, nothing replaces a face-to-face conversation. So as much as possible, that's where we want to be.
Yeah, along those lines, we're not the parent, so at the end of the day, we can't force follow-up or follow through. But I think the vast majority of parents in this world, when they receive a phone call from a concerned adult who knows their child and is expressing genuine concern and is sharing a genuine change in behavior, the vast majority of parents take that to heart and seek out the help that they need.
It's all about relationships. Just as we want our students to have a relationship with at least one trusted adult in the school community, we have to make sure that we're building those trusted relationships with our parents and our families. We're having these conversations with our families. We are probably talking about or discussing some of the most delicate, sensitive issues.
And they are sensitive issues. I know there are some families that may be hesitant to bring it up or to even talk about it, but letting the school know what's going on at home would be, I would imagine, a very critical part in assisting a child with their mental health.
Absolutely. And so we know that mental health traditionally has had a stigma behind it, right? And it's hard for families, students, adults to name and say that they're struggling with their mental health. They're not feeling their very best. They're having some negative thoughts. And so we have to continue to implore and impress upon our students that it's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay to share when you're not feeling your best and you're not feeling confident and you're having negative thoughts that are impacting your ability to focus, your ability to attend to learning, your ability to achieve in school. And so we have to, really demystify the stigma around talking about mental health and the treatment related to it, so that our students will feel more comfortable sharing, so that we can get them the intervention and the supports that they need.
I think one of the things, and Dr. Chapman touched on it, is it can be anyone. It's not just a student who brings a visible struggle with them. It can be a really high-performing academic student, music student, athlete. In today's world for our kids, the pressure to be perfect, especially when they're comparing themselves on social media in filtered areas, on Snapchat, they're comparing themselves against everyone else's best in almost a false, fake world. As any student is trying to navigate that, I think it's important for moms and dads to know, when we talk about mental health challenges, it could be any child from any home at any point. And we have to be willing to have those conversations and to get the support to students as soon as we start to see that change in behavior or that concerning how they reach out. And we need to be able to work together. That communication's both ways.
When it comes to being a challenge to address this, bullying has been around for as long as schools have been around. It's not a new thing, but it really is presenting itself in new and very challenging ways in this world of social media. So how do you as a district address bullying, address the mental health challenges that come directly from social media itself, because it's something that kids have access to. They see it, they're scrolling, it's there.
So this is the first year that we've implemented a no cell phone ban. And so certainly on our governor's part of instituting legislation that speaks to banning cell phones in schools during the school day, that has provided a significant amount of relief and pressure from our classrooms.
You've seen that already this year?
Yes, we've seen that already. And so there was some hesitation over the summer when we started talking about implementing, no cell phones during the school year, because we thought there would be this big revolt. But in actuality, it actually has gone very smoothly, because I think the students were looking for a break. The teachers were looking for a break, and we know the administrators were looking for a break. But as a result of that, we've seen a decrease in the number of incidents involving students going back and forth with each other, usually on social media, while they were in school. And so that's what we were experiencing before. And so I say that we've reclaimed our instructional time. We've reclaimed those moments where students can sit side by side and actually talk to each other and have conversations. We go in our cafeteria during lunchtime and recess. Now the students are playing games with each other, board games. They're interacting, they're getting to know each other. And so I would say that it has been, it was a disruption, but it has had a significant impact on decreasing the number of incidences of bullying in our schools, particularly related to social media, because it's really just a non-factor. And so if it's a distraction, it's more of a distraction in the evening, and maybe students will bring that to the school the next day, but it's so much more manageable now, given we've made this pivot.
I think the cell phone legislation has been amazing. I think it has helped us reclaim that instructional time. The challenges continue to grow now. We see AI-generated images and AI-generated content that, when it does get to us, now our level of scrutiny and our questioning and follow-up, it used to be a picture was worth 1,000 words, and if someone had a picture or something, you believed it. Now you have to determine the authenticity of the picture or the video or what you're seeing. And our kids are much better at it than we are as adults. So I think, yes, the cell phones have been great that they're not in our schools for the most part, and that we've been able to take some of that stress out of our school day.
And when it comes to bullying, the challenge for schools is a couple of different things. One is schools got to find a lane somewhere between having zero tolerance for bullying and getting at root causes, both for the victim and the bully. There's a root cause there somewhere if that child is displaying those behaviors that we need to help with, while at the same time taking care of that victim and not tolerating those kinds of behaviors. And that can be a very difficult lane to find sometimes. That word bullying has a very specific definition. And one of the harder conversations we sometimes have to have with parents is that while this doesn't fit the definition of bullying, it is still unacceptable behavior that we need to deal with and make sure that your child can come to school feeling safe and heard, and that they can learn in a place where they're comfortable.
Healthy Minds, Building Mental Wellness in the Classroom is presented in partnership with Ohio Education Association and Optum Behavioral Care.
My public school is the heart of my community, and it's great because every kid is welcome, no exceptions. I get to learn from dedicated professionals who keep me safe, meet my needs, and help me dream big for my future. My public school educators believe in me, and as members of the Ohio Education Association, they're using their united voice to call for the supports and resources I need to succeed.
Because in Ohio,
public education matters.
Feeling overwhelmed? Struggling to connect with others? You don't have to figure it out alone. At Optum Behavioral Care, our team of professionals will work with children, families, adults, and couples to help meet specific needs and goals. Find the help you need with our network of providers, Affirmation Psychological Services, Center for Cognitive and Behavioral Therapy in Ohio, and Arbor Counseling of Ohio. Call the phone number or go online at OptumBHCare.com. Behavioral health care, when, where, and how you need it.
When you need help,
it's always good to have somebody on your side.
I'm in fear of my safety and his.
And solving problems is our mission. Getting answers to issues impacting our community.
It affects her and it affects everybody.
Looking out for the safety of you and your family.
We reached out several times to Columbus schools.
And always working to earn your trust.
I just think 6 on your side.
It's good to have ABC 6 News on your side.
ABC 6 News at 6 on your side.
There is still all these hours outside of the school day where kids are interacting on social media, and that has a great likelihood of following them to school. So it's still something you're having to address.
Yeah, I think if this panel was 3 high school principals versus 3 superintendents, they would tell you that so much of what they end up dealing with in the hallways, in the cafeterias, in places like that actually originated over the weekend or in the evening with some other event that they found each other again at school the following day.
I got to imagine the message of parents is, help us out, be aware of what's going on social media, be involved in those accounts with your kids, know what your kids are doing online.
Well, as Mr. Stewart said, one of the best attended programs we have is when we teach parents how to set up parent controls on their cell phone. When you remind parents that you own that device, and although your 16-year-old may not want you on it, you own it, you're paying for the plan, you should be looking at your child's social media accounts on a daily basis.
So we've had an overview of where we're at, what's happening, some of the unique things happening in your district to address mental health in the classroom. I'd like to talk about what may be down the road, what's ahead. What would be on your wish list that you would like to have to better address mental health with students in classrooms? Maybe it's a program, maybe it's more funding. What would you like to see? What would be the most beneficial thing in your district, you think?
I think for all of us, a more regional approach would definitely be beneficial. I talked earlier about, we're all trying to create these individual partnerships with the same entities. And if we could somehow come together and take a regional approach to amplify the resources that do exist to benefit every kid in Franklin County, I think that would be a real dream for all of us.
When you look at all of the pop-up emergency rooms, all of the closer to homes, the Ohio Health, everywhere you are in Franklin County now, you can almost get to one of those spaces. Could there be a mental health space? Because we have emergency services all over. And it's because the insurance covers them and that's where the money is. If we could have the resources for that same type of coverage for mental health issues for our young people, that would be huge.
I would say the same, whether that's a regional approach, more access and opportunity for our students to have access to trained professionals that can support them with their mental health needs. When we're able to do that and stand up those resources for our community, we're able to remove those non-academic barriers that hold so many of our students back, that prevent them from attending school regularly, prevent them from staying engaged in school and being on task while they're in school. And so I would say that any resources, ideas, or strategies for how to pull our resources together, and these are resources that we're naming really are underrepresented in our community. And so when our community is able to identify additional resources to support mental health, then the community is stronger and healthier, and so is our schools.
I think something that Dr. Chapman said earlier is worth revisiting, that mental health doesn't live in a silo. It's usually accompanied by food insecurity, housing instability, trauma, different things that happen in the home. And so I think we need to recognize that and put all of those things together and understand that they all kind of feed off of each other.
When it comes to where this conversation goes from here, I'd like to give you all an opportunity to have some final thoughts, if you will. What have we missed in this conversation that you think is important, that families really need to know and to consider when it comes to the mental health of their kids?
I would say start with our students. And so families should be having conversations at the kitchen table, at the dining room table, in the car, in transition, on the way to school and from school, talking about how their child is feeling, what they're thinking, what's going on in school, talking about their relationships with their peers, their peer group, and making sure that they're dialed in and really tuned in to the struggles as well as the opportunities that may present themselves, and very well aware of how their child is showing up.
As Dr. Chapman said, it's about real conversations. It's about having those conversations with your kids, not texting them, not relying on what you see. I believe, and I'm hopeful, that as a society, we're going back to those in-person relationships, those real conversations, the dinner table conversations. Because as we, as adults and parents and grandparents, have conversations with kids, you get a deeper understanding of where they are, and you can convey your care, compassion, and love for every child.
I think the other reminder that I would give is that regardless of the problem, whether it's mental health or academic or otherwise, the most effective and the most efficient way to deal with that problem is a really healthy partnership between home and the school. And so I would continue to urge parents to ask the questions, as Dr. Chapman said, and ask us to be of assistance and to invite us into the conversation so that we can connect them with the resources that potentially they need.
Dr. Chapman, Dr. Marschhausen, Mr. Stewart, thank you very much for joining us today. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We take our commitment to being on your side seriously, and this conversation was part of that effort, sharing how schools are addressing those growing mental health challenges in classrooms every single day. We'll echo what you heard tonight. Talk to your kids, be an advocate for them, and do not be afraid to ask for help. I'm Mike McCarthy. Thanks for watching.
Healthy Minds, Building Mental Wellness in the Classroom was brought to you in partnership with Ohio Education Association and Optum Behavioral Care.